From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Furniture and Mattress 86 is stocked with mattresses. Mattresses starting at $149. Try our 120-night trial. Mattresses come with a 20-year warranty. Up to 72 months, 0 interest. Free local delivery and pickup. Furniture and Mattress 86 on Merchant Avenue across from the post office in Reading. If you find it for less, you should buy it.
Good evening, everyone. Well, another hot day in the record books here, of course, with the exception of the coast, obviously. And this summer-like heat, this is going to continue here at least through the rest of the week and even hotter as we go into the weekend and early next week. But we do also expect continued gusty north winds at times, and unfortunately, that is going to elevate that fire weather risk here as we go into the next 24 hours or so. Also, we're looking at the potential for some showers and mountain thunderstorms here. Now, mainly for this upcoming weekend by around Sunday into early next week. However, some of the latest forecast model data now wants to bring in that potential for possibly even as early as, say, Thursday or so. We'll take a closer look at that here in a second here. But we've also got a cooling trend for next week. Don't let that fool you. It's still going to be hot, just not as hot as we're experiencing now. So here's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Tuesday, June 3rd, tonight. Now, the winds are expected to pick up, and if they materialize as expected, I think we'll be closer to the 70s, low to mid 70s here for your overnight lows for the north end of the valley for Reading down to Red Bluff. But places where the winds don't tend to be as strong, we'll probably be looking at closer to the low to mid 60s here. In the meantime, we're also looking at those temperatures in the 40s for the higher elevations, although for Trinity County, westward, temperatures in the low to mid 50s there, even out towards the coast as well. So tomorrow morning, yeah, we're looking at mainly clear skies out there. There may be some fog around, say, Humboldt Bay, for example, but for the most part, you're looking at clear skies and fairly mild temperatures. By 8 a.m., you could even be closer to the upper 70s for places like Reading. Again, should those winds materialize as expected, that'll keep those temperatures fairly warm, especially for the north end of the valley. But that ridge of high pressure, that is the dominant feature. That's why it's so hot out there, that is. But there you can also see the area of low pressure spinning over Southern California. That is a contributing factor to the gusty winds that we're expected to see here over the next couple of days. So let's take you into tomorrow morning. That's what I was talking about for tonight and tomorrow morning. You see how we're seeing gusts possibly 25 to even over 30 miles per hour. Now you'll notice it's mainly west of I-5 in the north end of the valley. Won't be quite as bad for places like Chico, but also pretty gusty out along the coast as well. Taking you into Wednesday afternoon, the winds actually do subside a little bit here, but still gusty, especially on Reading and Red Bluff, and even some of the higher elevations north into Siskiyou County, and pretty gusty out along the coast, especially out towards Del Norte County, Crescent City, for example. All right, so for tomorrow, I am expecting to see those temperatures once again, most likely in the upper 90s, maybe even around 100 degrees for some of the warmer spots, but we are going to be on a bit of a slight downward trend in our temperatures. Again, we're shaving off a degree or two over the next couple of days, but that's it. Otherwise, you're in the 70s and 80s for the higher elevations, although in Trinity County, inland low 90s, and looks like somewhere in the mid 60s, give or take here for the coast. So looking at your 7-day forecast, it's going to be hot anyway you look at it here for the valley, even hotter this weekend going into early next week. For the coast, mid 60s, give or take for the next 7 days, no big changes there. Inland, we do have temperatures low to mid 90s by the time we do get into the weekend in particular. There's that chance for an afternoon thunderstorm here, especially Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But as I mentioned, we may even see some activity on Thursday. We'll take a closer look at that in our deeper dive forecast here in just a bit. But there is a look at Siskiyou County, Modoc County, and the eastern mountains kind of leveling off here through Friday. A bump up in our temperatures by the weekend and early next week, and also that chance for some afternoon thunderstorms here for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. All right, so let's take a look. Of course, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast, by the way, here. So if that's all you needed, all right, good for you. You can move on for the rest of your evening and have a good night. Otherwise, stick around for a deeper dive forecast. And again, we will talk about that chance for thunderstorms possibly as early as Thursday. But before we get to that, you can also track the thunderstorms should they develop right from your phone from the free Weather NorCal app. Just go to your app store, search for Weather NorCal, put a space between the two words there, by the way, and download the app for free. If you don't like it, you can take it off your phone, but I think you're going to like it. So once again, we've got that ridge of high pressure right here, broad ridge. That's what's keeping our temperatures fairly high. But with low pressure to our south, well, that's giving us the gusty winds. So let's take a look at our fire weather forecast here. And we're going to start off with the winds here because that's where we typically start with those north winds. They're going to be very gusty going into tonight and tomorrow morning, as I mentioned earlier. Now, going through Wednesday afternoon, they do subside a little bit here. And then for Thursday, look at this. By Thursday morning, the winds are much calmer. They're still from the north. They may shift from the south by the time we get into Thursday afternoon. Calmer winds, but still a bit breezy, a little gusty along the coast here. So let's take a look at the fire weather risk. The orange is high, yellow is when you're looking at moderate, and these numbers here, that's the relative humidity. So that's what it was the case here for today. Tomorrow morning, still in the moderate range, with those gusty winds, that's not going to help. You can still see we're in that high fire weather risk with the orange, but still very dry too, with the relative humidity levels in around the 10% range, give or take. Now, Thursday morning, look at this. We're mainly low fire weather risk. By the time we get into Thursday afternoon, we're low to moderate really here for the most part. So we are seeing improving conditions when we are talking about that fire weather risk. All right, so let's take a look at futurecast and that potential for showers and thunderstorms. What we're going to see here for the next couple of days here, and we've seen here, is that most of the thunderstorms are developing over the Sierra, and some of them are actually pretty strong, and even seeing some lightning strikes associated with that. Now, this particular model does want to bring in that potential, maybe even on Thursday, working its way northward. Now, this model tends to overdo it when it comes to what we call convective activity, and that's essentially what it will be. Will we have enough moisture for this to develop? Most likely not, and should they develop, it may be in the form of what we call virga, which is rain that evaporates, that is, before it hits the ground. So yeah, we may see a stray sprinkle here and there, but I don't anticipate at this point to see any thunderstorms for the higher elevations on Thursday. In the meantime, I'm still tracking those gusty winds here that we're going to be looking at here. Now, the area of low pressure itself over Southern California, that will move on out and shift to the north and east, but there still will be enough of what we call a pressure gradients for some pretty strong winds on Wednesday. Thursday, as mentioned, those winds will start to subside. And then you can see this ridge of high pressure right here, the heat associated with that is what's going to move overhead. This is why we expect temperatures to increase as we go into the weekend and even into early next week. But then going through next week, as that heat dives down to the south, we see a trough of low pressure right here, which is cooler air, by the way. That would mean temperatures start to slowly drop, taking you through next week. So there's that bump up in the temperatures, and then they start to drop again going through next week, possibly some low 90s by the time we get into next Friday. Let's take a look at the wave heights, and you can see they are dropping here as we go into your Wednesday, so that certainly is some good news. And then we take you into your Thursday, not changing much, but still looks like a minor drop in those wave heights even going into your Thursday. So for Trinity County, we've got temperatures in the low to mid 90s for your daytime highs on Wednesday. Looks like Ruth about 80, Douglas City 96, and Weaverville a high of about 93 degrees. And again, I've included that chance for some afternoon thunderstorms, mainly starting on Sunday and could potentially last into Monday, Tuesday of next week. For the coast, temperatures basically in the mid 60s, give or take, for the next 7 days. For the inland areas, you're going to notice that slight increase in temperatures over the weekend, and then another minor drop in those temperatures for early next week. For Siskiyou County, there's that chance for some afternoon thunderstorms Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And there you can see temperatures mainly in the 70s out towards Siskiyou County after that. Then you can see as we go into Modoc County, we've got 79 degrees for Alturas, 75 for Tule Lake, and 79 degrees in Eagleville. And south into the eastern mountains, we've got those temperatures mainly in the 80s. 80 degrees for Westwood, 83 degrees for Greenville, and 84 degrees in Kronberg. We take you valley to the south, temperatures in the mid to upper 90s, so it's still going to be another hot day. But as I mentioned, we're going to be shaving off a degree or two here as we go into the next few days, even into Thursday, but then back up to about 100 degrees or higher by the weekend. Take you up to the north here. I mean, right, we're talking upper 90s. Could we dodge the triple digits tomorrow? That certainly could be the case here. Look for a high of 99 degrees for Palo Cedro, 98 for Cottonwood, and 92 degrees in Lakehead. All right, here's your 7-day forecast for Redding. Those temperatures upper 90s through Thursday, could get up to 100 degrees again, over 100 degrees most likely by the weekend. That can continue into Monday with temperatures slowly dropping as we go through next week. That's your evening update. I'll be back again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and live on Coffee with Krueger at 6:30. Have yourselves a great night.